experience. You know, you're a husband, you're a father, and so much more. What would you say to us right now? What do we need to do right now?
Right now, the first thing to do is get away from social integration. That's the first thing. Secondly, go back and recapture what was yours. The civil rights movement had nothing to do with whites, Asian, Arabs, midgets, humpback, lesbians, anything else. It was strictly here to correct the Dred Scott decision of 1857. And that's why, see, right now, they spread all these things out. Every time something should be going to blacks, they make it for everybody. They use those broad terms, so that way you'll never get anything. So first thing we must do is build communities again. Start building your own black communities, one. Point two is that in that community, you put your economy in that community. And we do not have not one community in America. You cannot be competitive without communities. All we got are neighborhoods. A neighborhood is nothing. A neighborhood is where a hotel is a neighborhood. That's where people eat and sleep, is in a neighborhood. But you got to have a community. And the community is where you store your wealth, your power, your voting, your strength, your schools, your education, your money, your bills, and your banks goes into a community, not into a neighborhood. And in most of these places where black folk live, that's not even a neighborhood anymore. It's gotten so bad they now kill so many of each other that they run the neighbors out, and all you got is a hood left. And that's why they call it, I'm going back to the hood. That means you're going back to nothing. And black folk must then start building everything vertically. And the first floor is economics. You build your community, you put an economic base in there. You put all your businesses in one location. Nobody's going to drive all over town looking for you. And you can't have one restaurant on the east side, one restaurant on the south side. You put all your businesses in one location in that community. And that's where you go and park your car every Saturday. And every black meets there, goes to the same restaurants, to the hotels. Everything of value is there for you, and it's yours. Then the second floor, you can use politics. But don't get into politics if you don't have any money. You'll get robbed and sent to jail. You must first get your economy in there and take the money you make in your economy and go to the second floor where politics is. Don't worry about voting. You don't have to vote anymore. You take your money and buy the damn politicians. Always have politics. You buy them. You take your money and buy them. And if you can't buy them, you just rent them or lease them, okay? And use them. And don't let them use you anymore, okay? Then you don't.
Y'all listen, family. Listen, family. We listening. Yes, sir.
Okay, and in the third floor, then you go to the Justice Department. Now, somebody talking about injustices. Then you take the politicians that you bought on the second floor, you make them take care of all that stuff, all the corruption and the misuse and abuse, and you get rid of half of these damn elected officials, judiciary appointees. The most racist organization in America is the United States Supreme Court. Have no respect for that. They put into place to keep black folk enslaved and to maintain racism. That's why right now you got 9 people sitting up there. You used to have 9, I guess they 9. They just put a black woman on it, but you only had one black there, and he was a false and a phony. He's up there pretending to be a black man when in fact it's a white man pretending. And so he's been there for 30 years, waste of time. And then so you control your judges that way. And then you go to the fourth floor, and the fourth floor will be education and art and radio, television. You can learn how to get your media, control your media. You got 12,000 black radio stations. You should be owning at least 16 or 17% of them. You only got 1 or 2 now. Get your television stations. You got 5,000 television stations. You own 1 or 2. You got 12,000 cable systems. You own maybe 1 of those. You should have 15% of everything. That's why I wrote the second affirmative action plan in the country. I'm going to shut up now when I tell you this. Well, the first affirmative action plan in the United States was the United States Constitution. You got to challenge that Constitution. It's that Constitution they're using to keep you enslaved and running in a circle. That Constitution was put in place in 1789. It said at that point that you're going to be a slave and you own and control nothing. And the first law they passed 1 year later in 1790 would say this is a white country. This is a white country, and the only person who can come here and be residents and enjoy all these benefits will be whites or anybody who can pass for whites. Only blacks cannot pass for whites in the country. These Asians, Arabs, Hispanics, and all of them, they pass for whites. Hispanics is nothing but a group that was controlling slavery for centuries. And now what they're doing is that they're going back, pretending somehow that they're a brother of the black people. They were never a brother to you. They the one brought all the slaves into Latin America, and Mexico, and the Caribbean islands. Hispanics are out here to do you in, to replace you. You go down to Mexico, they got stamps with little sambos all on the stamps. You got Cheerio boxes where black folk are running around with bones in their noses and putting white folk in a bucket and boiling them like some kind of scallions that eating people alive. So no, you don't have any friends in America. You have no friends and no allies. You started taking care of yourself. Build your own schools, get your own teachers, make your money bounce 8 to 12 times before it ever leaves your community. Do not let your money out of the black community. You find a black hand, put it in that black hand, and say, you take this money and count it. Look at your wallet, open your wallet and count everything. Every piece of paper in there should have 8 to 10 or 12 check marks on it, going through the black hands. Never let your money out of your community like white. Hispanics make their money bounce 6 to 8 times. Whites make their money bounce 8 to 12 times. Arabs and Asians make their money bounce 13 to 14 times. And Jews make their money bounce 18 times before it leaves the Jewish community. And yet your money doesn't bounce once. You got $1.4 trillion passing through your hands. You can't hold it because you're busy giving it to whites and other groups coming into your community and got businesses in your community. You put it into their hands. I quit right then. I rested and I love you. You're a beautiful woman. You got a beautiful program. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for advice.